Okay, so you know how everyone says like you can't sink in the Dead Sea? Like
Yeah.
it's just so salty that you just bob around.
It is. It's like the ultimate lazy river
Yeah.
without the river part.
Yeah.
Um,
So we're talking Israel today.
yes.
Diving into the 10 best attractions in Israel.
Okay.
It's on a pretty cool little list by 10 most today.
Sounds like a good one.
Yeah, and it's pretty comprehensive even though it is a top 10.
Nice.
You know?
Yeah.
So if anyone out there is thinking about a trip
Uh,
to Israel or just wants to be, a little bit more well-informed
Mm.
about a place that comes up a lot,
for sure.
this is kind of your quick cheat sheet.
Yeah. Love it.
We're talking about everything from like the ancient stuff to the modern cities
Right.
to the natural wonders that they have there.
That's what I love about Israel. You can get so much packed into such a small space.
Yeah, totally.
Like geographically, it's not a huge country,
Mm-hmm.
but it's just this crossroads of, so much history and culture.
Okay, so let's jump right into it with our first stop.
Okay.
Tel Aviv
All right.
and Jaffa.
Interesting combo.
Yeah, so like Tel Aviv, this is like the New York City of Israel.
That's a good way to put it.
Right. It's like their commercial center, cultural hub.
The heart of it all.
Yeah, they've got beaches. Everyone talks about the nightlife, like the
Uh.
amazing food scene.
Of course.
And one of the things that really stuck out to me was that it's considered like a really gay-friendly city.
Yeah, that's actually a good indicator of a city's kind of general openness and tolerance.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and I actually saw someone call it like one sane place in the entire Middle East.
Oh, wow.
Which, like, I don't know how you feel about that.
That's a really loaded statement.
Right.
Obviously, it probably says more about the person who said it than, like,
Yeah.
Tel Aviv itself.
Yeah.
But
It's a bold statement.
it is bold. I think it speaks to how Tel Aviv is often seen as, more secular, liberal.
Modern.
Yeah, maybe trying to distance itself from some of the conflicts of the region.
Yeah,
But, it's always good to take those kinds of statements with a grain of salt.
totally.
Everyone has their own perspective.
Absolutely.
But then you have Jaffa right next door.
Yeah, so right next to this, like, super modern
Right.
city is Jaffa, which is ancient.
Like ancient.
Yeah, like, we're talking roots back to biblical times,
At least.
maybe even older.
Yeah.
So it's like you can literally walk from, like, a 21st century city
Exactly.
to a place that's been around for thousands of years.
That's like stepping back in time.
Yeah, it's kind of mind-blowing.
And it's not just like ruins either.
Oh, really?
Jaffa is a living, breathing city.
Oh, wow.
It's got this amazing mix of old and new.
I like that.
It's a place where, like, different cultures
Mhm.
and religions kind of like coexist.
So it's kind of like a microcosm of the whole region in a way.
I think so, yeah.
Mhm.
It's a place where you can really feel the layers of history.
Okay, so speaking of history and religion,
Okay.
let's move on to like the ultimate place for that.
All right. I think I know where we're going.
Jerusalem's old city.
The heart of it all.
Right, and this is a place that's sacred to like three major religions.
Right.
Christians, Jews, Muslims.
It's considered holy by like a huge chunk of the world's population.
Yeah, which is kind of mind-blowing.
Yeah.
And like right in the middle of it all
Mm-hmm.
is this walled city that was built by the Ottomans like way back in the 16th century.
Yeah, those walls are impressive. Like you can really feel the weight of history when you see them.
Yeah, and like inside the walls, it's like a maze of narrow streets and alleys
Exactly.
and just packed with holy sites.
Like back to back.
yeah.
You've got the Western Wall, which is like the holiest site in Judaism.
All right.
And it's like this massive ancient wall that's left of the Second Temple.
So it's like a direct link to biblical times.
Absolutely.
And it's the most visited site in all of Israel.
Yeah, it's a powerful place.
Yeah. Then like right nearby, you have the Dome of the Rock,
Right. Yeah.
which is incredibly important to Islam.
Yeah. Muslims believe that's where the Prophet Muhammad ascended to heaven.
Wow.
And the dome itself is just beautiful,
Mm-hmm.
covered in gold.
It's iconic.
Yeah, you see it in pictures all the time.
Yeah. And then for Christians,
Uh-huh.
you have the Church of the Holy Sepulchre,
Right.
which is built on the site where they believe Jesus was crucified and buried.
It's like one of the most important pilgrimage sites.
Yeah, it's really hard to grasp like the weight of history
Totally.
and the religious significance that's all packed into this one small area.
It's almost overwhelming,
Right.
but it's also just incredible to see how all these different faiths coexist in this one place.
All right, well, for something completely different,
Okay.
let's go to Masada.
Oh, yeah, this is a powerful one.
Right, so for people who don't know, Masada is this ancient fortress.
Mm-hmm.
It's on top of like a plateau.
Like a huge rock plateau
Right.
overlooking the Dead Sea.
Yeah.
And it's famous for this really tragic story.
Yeah.
Back in Roman times, a group of like about 1,000 Jewish rebels
Mm-hmm.
were holding out against the Romans up there.
Mm-hmm.
And rather than surrender to the Romans,
Yeah.
they chose to take their own lives.
It's like a story of ultimate resistance.
It's become a symbol of defiance and like the struggle for freedom.
Yeah.
It's a really heavy story, but it's important.
Yeah. And today you can actually visit Masada.
You can.
You can either hike up the snake path, which sounds pretty intense.
Yeah, it's a pretty steep climb,
Okay.
but the views are incredible.
Or you can take a cable car.
Yeah, if you're not feeling the hike.
Yeah. And when you get to the top, you can still see the ruins of the ancient settlement.
Yeah, and the Roman siege works down below.
It's like walking through history.
It's pretty amazing.
Okay, let's talk about that super salty sea now.
All right, the Dead Sea,
The Dead
the lowest point on Earth,
Right.
like 13,360 feet below sea level.
That's wild.
It is wild.
And 10 times saltier than the ocean.
That's why you can't sink.
It's crazy. You can just like lie back
Mm-hmm.
and float effortlessly.
It's like floating in a giant salt bath.
But you have to be careful not to get that water in your eyes.
Oh, yeah, that would sting.
Yeah.
Like a lot.
Yeah.
But some people believe that the minerals in the water are good for your skin.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
They say it can help with all sorts of skin problems.
Like psoriasis and eczema?
Yeah, things like that.
Huh.
There's not a ton of scientific evidence to back that up,
Oh, okay.
but a lot of people swear by it.
Yeah, it's like the mud baths
Exactly.
people do
Yeah.
all over the world.
And the name Dead Sea is pretty accurate.
Right.
It's like no life in there.
Too salty.
Way too salty. Just a few tiny microorganisms can handle it.
All right, from floating in salt, let's go back to Jerusalem,
Okay.
to a place that is a little bit heavier.
Yeah, Yad Vashem,
Yad Vashem.
the world's largest Holocaust museum and memorial.
Yeah, this place is dedicated to remembering and honoring the victims of the Holocaust.
It was established in 1953,
Uh-huh.
and then they opened a whole new part of it in 2005.
Right.
So it's really extensive.
Yeah.
The main building is this really unique triangular structure,
Mm-hmm.
and it's got all these different exhibition halls
Right.
that tell the story of the Holocaust.
Yeah.
And there's this one hall that's especially powerful.
Yeah, the Hall of Names.
The Hall of Names. It's this huge space with pages and pages of names of people who were killed in the Holocaust.
Wow.
It's a really stark reminder of the human cost of this tragedy.
Yeah, it's hard to imagine what it would be like to be in that room.
It's definitely a heavy experience,
Yeah.
but it's so important to remember and learn from this history.
Yeah.
And Yad Vashem does an amazing job of that.
Okay, let's get out of the city for a bit
Sounds good.
and head north to the Galilee.
Ah, Galilee.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
It's like a completely different landscape from the desert.
Right.
This is like green rolling hills, fertile land.
Lots of agriculture.
Yeah, lots of vineyards,
Uh-huh.
olive groves.
It's a really peaceful area.
Yeah. And right in the middle of it is the Sea of Galilee,
Right.
which is also known as Lake Tiberias.
It's a freshwater lake.
Yeah.
And it's incredibly important in Christianity because this is where Jesus is said to have walked on water.
Yeah, and performed a lot of his miracles.
Right.
And besides the sea,
Mm.
the Galilee region is also home to a bunch of ancient cities, like Tiberias,
Hmm.
which is a Roman city.
Yeah, you can still see some of the ruins.
It's seafood.
It's just a center of Jewish mysticism,
Wow.
Yeah.
And
which is a UNESCO World Heritage Site.
so there's a lot to explore up there.
There's so much history and culture.
Yeah, and the Jordan River flows through this area too,
Right.
which is another really significant water. Next
Okay.
to Caesarea Maritima. Caesarea.
Yeah, this is like an archaeologist's dream.
It's like a time capsule of history
Right. It was built over 2,000 years ago.
by Herod the Great.
Yeah.
He was a pretty powerful ruler.
Yeah, he built this incredible port city
Mm-hmm.
and named it after Caesar Augustus.
Yeah, he was really trying to impress the Romans.
And today you can still see the ruins of the Roman city,
Yeah.
like the Hippodrome,
Mhm.
where they used to have chariot races.
It's massive.
Yeah. And there's also ruins from the Crusader period,
Right.
like fortresses and churches.
Yeah.
And all of this is like right on the Mediterranean Sea.
The views are incredible.
So you've got like ancient history
Mm-hmm.
and beautiful scenery all in one place.
Yeah.
Oh, and one more thing.
Okay.
They've actually restored the ancient Roman theater.
Really?
Yeah.
That's cool.
And they use it for concerts in the summer.
Oh, wow. That's amazing.
Yeah. So it's not just ruins.
Right.
It's like a living part of the city.
I love that.
Okay, let's switch gears completely. All right, where are we going?
Let's go to Eilat.
Eilat.
Yeah, this is like Israel's version of Miami.
The party town.
Yeah, like beaches,
Mm-hmm.
nightlife,
Uh-huh.
water sports.
It's on the Red Sea, right?
Yeah, the Red Sea.
So the water is incredible.
Yeah, and it's super popular with both Israelis
Yeah.
and tourists.
Makes sense.
Yeah, people go there to like sunbathe,
Yeah.
swim,
Mm-hmm.
go diving.
Oh, the diving there is supposed to be amazing.
Yeah, snorkeling.
There are coral reefs, right?
Yeah.
Beautiful.
You can even swim with dolphins there.
Oh, wow.
And then at night, the city comes alive.
That's the clubs and bars.
Yeah, all kinds of entertainment.
Sounds like a fun place.
Yeah, if you're looking for like a beach vacation in Israel, that's the place to go.
Okay.
Okay, from the beach to the mountains.
Okay.
We're going to Haifa now.
Haifa,
Yeah.
home of the Baha'i Gardens.
The Baha'i Gardens, yeah. These are considered some of the most beautiful gardens in the world.
They're pretty famous.
Yeah, and they're built on this hillside overlooking the city.
Uh-huh.
So you can see them from like all over Haifa.
And they're a memorial to the founders of the Baha'i faith,
Right.
which is a pretty interesting religion.
Yeah, it's a relatively new religion
Mhm.
that emphasizes peace and unity.
Yeah.
And the gardens themselves are just stunning.
They're called the Hanging Gardens.
Right.
Because they're built on these 19 terraces that cascade down Mount Carmel.
Yeah, it's like this giant staircase of flowers and trees and fountains.
That's like a work of art.
And then at the very top
Mm.
is the Shrine of the Bab,
Right.
which has this golden dome.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, it's like the centerpiece of the whole thing.
And the gardens are a UNESCO World Heritage Site.
Yeah. So that tells you how special they are.
Absolutely.
Okay, last stop on our tour of Israel.
All right, let's do it.
Let's go to the Negev Desert.
The Negev.
Yeah, this is like a completely different side of Israel.
It's the desert. Right.
Yeah.
Like stark and beautiful.
Yeah, and right in the middle of it is this incredible natural wonder,
Oh, yeah. What's it called?
the Ramon Crater.
A Ramon crater.
Gobektesh Ramon.
Okay.
It's this huge crater,
How huge are we talking?
like 25 miles long.
What?
Yeah, up to 6 miles wide.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's shaped like a heart.
That's kind of cute.
It is kind of cute.
For a giant crater.
Yeah, and unlike a lot of craters which are formed by like meteor impacts,
Uh-huh.
this one was formed by erosion.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, over millions of years, water and wind carved this massive hole in the ground.
That's incredible.
Yeah, and it's the largest erosion crater in the world.
Wow.
Yeah, and the deepest point is about 1,600 feet.
So can you go down into it?
Yeah, there are hiking trails that go down into the crater.
Cool.
And there's also a visitor center called Mitzpah Ramon,
Okay.
where you can get like these amazing views of the whole thing.
Sounds like a must-see.
Yeah, and if you're feeling adventurous,
Yeah.
you can go abseiling down the cliffs. You know, rappelling,
Oh, wait.
like down the side of the crater.
Wow.
And get this,
Okay.
there's a hotel right on the rim of the crater.
No way.
Yeah.
So you can just like wake up
Yeah.
and look out over this giant crater.
Yeah, and each room has its own private pool.
That's luxurious.
Yeah, so you can just like hang out by your pool
Mhm.
and soak up the desert views.
That sounds amazing.
It does sound pretty amazing.
So the
It's-
Negev is not just a barren wasteland.
Okay.
There's actually a lot to see and do there.
Yeah, it's a really unique and beautiful part of Israel.
Yeah, and despite the harsh conditions, it's home to all sorts of plants and animals.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Life finds a way.
It does.
Pretty amazing.
Okay, so we just went from ancient cities to floating seas to a giant crater in the desert.
That's Israel for you.
It's pretty incredible how much diversity they've packed into one small country.
It is, and we've only scratched the surface here.
Yeah.
This list is just a starting point.
A taste.
Yeah.
To get people interested.
Exactly.
So for everyone listening,
Mm-hmm.
think about those 10 places we just talked about.
Yeah.
Which one would you want to visit the most?
Oh, that's a tough one.
Right.
They all sound pretty amazing.
They do. And if you could only pick one,
Mm-hmm.
what would it be and why?
And what would you want to see and do there?
Yeah, like what deeper story or experience are you drawn to?
I think that's a great question for everyone to think about
Yeah.
because there's so much more to discover
Yeah.
beyond just the surface level.
Absolutely.
And hopefully this deep dive has inspired you to do just that.
To go explore
Yeah.
and learn more about this amazing place.
Definitely. It's a place that has something for everyone.